Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again, and today here on this square in front of the cathedral in Erfurt we have seen a far left demonstration of union members, party youth of left-wing parties and also Antifa groups. Yeah, I asked myself the question when I saw these young people and many old people actually too, why are they going to these events? They seem to be taking these events very, very seriously. It felt quasi-religious actually when I was listening to the speeches and when I saw the way that the disciples of the left were actually receiving this speech. Of course, it also has something like a state fair character. It's like a big party. Punk rock music and rock music is playing, and people are repeating these far left slogans. So it's definitely meant to be fun, and it also gives them a sense of community, of belonging, or following some ideology or belonging to some movement, supporting some idea that is greater than just oneself. So I think this empty materialism of our youth in the West at the moment is definitely one driving force behind the popularity of these political movements and these events. And also bear in mind, I think I said it before, many of these people did not spontaneously go to this event. They were actually brought here by bus. They belong to certain organizations like labor unions or the Green Party, the youth organization of the Social Democrats, etc., or various anti-left NGO groups. So these are not your average citizens who feel that they need to make a political statement. So for these well-organized groups, it is actually a little bit like a gathering, like a convention. Like if comic book nerds go to a comic book convention or something, there are booths where you can buy T-shirts and flyers and all that stuff, and you can make donations to support these NGOs also. Yeah, that is definitely one aspect to bear in mind.
Before we continue with the video, I really like to thank my subscribers and my patrons. You guys help me immensely to make this kind of content. If you like these videos, like, share and subscribe, and consider making a donation or becoming a patron in order to support my work.
And I think I talked about that a little bit, especially at the moment. It's almost like group therapy for these leftist groups. They are afraid that right-wing parties, conservative parties, what have you, that they will become part of the political system in Germany, that you cannot just ignore them anymore, that the people who vote for these parties will have their say through the democratic process and they cannot be oppressed any longer. And that scares them. They don't want dialogue. They don't want to collaborate with people who have other political ideas. That scares them. They want to stay among other fellow leftists who believe in socialism, in communism, and in this kind of leftist authoritarian system. It is much easier for them. Emotionally, they feel more at home in such a system. Actual pluralism, sitting at one table and discussing some issues with people who have more conservative ideas, who have maybe Christian ideas, who hold traditionalist family values dear, or who want safe nation with secure borders. That is all very hard for them to swallow, and this is why they want to reassure each other that it will be okay, we can just further oppress them and silence the opposition and everything will be okay. So it is kumbaya, group therapy, to calm their strained nerves after such a traumatizing event, such as a free democratic election. And also bear in mind a whole different aspect. It is one more opportunity for, let's say, low testosterone, weak men to say what leftist women want to hear. in maybe they think that they will actually find a girlfriend here or something like that if they just wear the Antifa t-shirt and shout the slogans really loud. In some instances, when I looked at the people, and I looked at many people during the course of the day, it actually looked quite a bit like that. A little bit similar to this reason is, of course, peer pressure. Remember, many of these people are still students or young college students, university students, and they are indoctrinated by their state learning facilities, basically, to hold these opinions and to, it's not just to have the right attitude, but you must show this attitude openly. If you just want to be left alone, that makes you suspicious. So in school, they are probably told that they have to go to this event, and then the lefties in their group of friends or in their class, they will actually enforce that if they want to belong to the cool, hip inner circle, they better show up at this event. And this is the funny thing about these leftists, actually. Their mannerisms and their slogans are so anti-establishment and so anti-state, one might almost say, that it is actually, and now I really want to use the word cringy. I don't like this word a lot, but or let's say it's a big contradiction, because they are marching here in the streets at the behest of Angela Merkel and Bodo Ramelow, who are the establishment here. Yeah? They are the establishment in Thüringen, and they definitely are the establishment in the Federal Republic of Germany. So they are basically marching in a pro-government demonstration. Yeah, while they are listening to loud punk rock and they say "smash the system." That is extremely funny, I think. And that's one more reason. If you are very conformist and if you like to go along with the crowd, then you're definitely at the right spot at a demonstration such as this one that we have seen today in Erfurt. So I have just been in a pub. I had a really great dinner and I had a local beer. And I talked a little bit with some people and I overheard I didn't try to eavesdrop or anything, but in a pub you just overhear stuff. And let's just say in this particular pub where I have been, people were not very, very pleased with today's demonstration. They don't like Antifa groups, they don't like communist groups. They actually said it really makes me sick to see all these hateful young people who are so brainwashed, and I wouldn't want to be among these red crowds. I think these people were a little bit older, not too old, but middle-aged, old enough, I would say, to still remember how it was in the GDR, the communist pseudo-republic of Germany that was part of the Warsaw Pact, not part of the Soviet Union. I made this mistake in another video. The GDR was not part of the Soviet Union, but it was part of the Warsaw Treaty. Anyway, it was a communist country under Soviet influence, of course. Just like Western Germany was a US satellite state, the GDR, Eastern Germany, was a Soviet satellite state. And I think the older people still remember that, and they spoke with a lot of contempt. They didn't use any bad words or something like that, but they made it clear that they are really not pleased with the way that the establishment is brainwashing the youth at the moment, and they thought in the middle of the 90s or early 2000s, they actually thought that this communistic rule would be a thing of the past here for Thüringen. But now they see with shock, actually, how the old communist elites are coming back again with a vengeance, and they're also brainwashing the youth against freedom, against democracy, against love for their own people. They were very clear about that. So they were not afraid to speak their minds. I mean, it was in a pub. It was It was not in front of a large crowd of people, but it was also definitely in public. So that's at least a little white pill that some people here are still unafraid, not afraid to speak up and to speak their minds about these things. Bear in mind, the AfD is not a tiny party here. I mean, they have over 20%. They have a strong faction in the Landtag of Thüringen, in the regional parliament here, in the state parliament. And some of these old-timers told me, actually, when I was talking to them, that I shouldn't make the mistake and think that all the young people are as radicalized and brainwashed, such as these red types, as they called them. They said there is a young generation growing up now in Germany that is definitely opposed to socialism, that is patriotic. These young people, they might not come from the inner cities, yeah, they might not study at a liberal arts department, but they are good people, they are hardworking people, they are educated, or sometimes they have a more practical inclination. That means they are working in the trades. That seems to be a pattern. I covered that a lot, and you can see that in many countries. There is, of course, a difference between rural areas and cities. There is a difference between university-educated people and people who are in the trades or who work in factories or what have you. And you see that clearly here also. Yeah, so I take their word. I take these people's word. I believe them that there are also these kinds of people. And of course, if you own so much money and if you have so much power and if you have infiltrated all the institutions like the left has, it is no problem for you to rent 100 buses and bring all sorts of people from your leftist network here to Erfurt. I just read in the news the police said that there were 9,000 people here. The organizers say 18,000 people. That's a factor of 2. So I don't know, 9,000 people, given the fact that apparently the Fourth Reich is just around the corner. That's a little weak, actually, when you control most of the parties, when you control the strong, wealthy labor unions, when you control the media, when you control all the institutions, when you have the courts in your pocket, when you own the police chiefs, because you can just fire them at will. If you have this degree of power and so much money and influence, 9,000 people is actually not a lot. So maybe we shouldn't blow this out of proportion. You can check out the pictures and the videos I took. Of course, I have to blur them when they're from too close up. I don't want to dox anybody. I don't want to show faces of people who were at a demonstration. That's really not what I want. And but just so that you get a little bit of an impression of what happened here. All right, take care. As always, be safe wherever you are. Servus, Kameraden.